Hello, guys. We are live, fluxing with friends. Check out my friend Diana here. Hi. Face masks. We're about to do some core and booty. So, this is how we get snatched after how many kiddos?
9.
9 kiddos out of this body. Now, when she first came to me, she literally only had like 2 half stretch marks and a quarter of a stretch mark on one hip. How did you manage that?
I'd always had this small whittled waist, so I didn't want to lose that. There's got to be a way that I can create something that can support my belly and hold this all in place so I don't get overextended and stretch my skin. So I created my own little pregnancy corset of a type, and it basically just cradled the baby every single day while I was working, and it also supported my back so that I didn't have any back pain, and it worked out great. So I improved it over the years after each baby, and it worked great. I could work long hours, and I have all of the benefits, wonderful children, and no stretch marks. What do you think about that? And she can verify this. It's true.
Literally 2 half stretch marks and 1/4 stretch mark. Your first 2 births.
They were natural, but in a hospital. And I go like, this is ridiculous. First of all, I thought we were only having 2. And I said, okay, boy, girl, we're done. Great. Then I got pregnant again. I said, no, I am not having baby in a hospital. That was awful.
What did you not like about it?
Oh, I'll tell you. They wouldn't let you eat. And, you could walk around, but you had to be confined to a certain area. And the fact that you weren't able to eat or drink any water, they didn't give you ice to suck on. They had to put you in an IV. So here I am going through pain, and I couldn't get any comfort. I couldn't put myself in a comfortable position. I had IVs in my arms. They said there's got to be a better way. And besides, I'm really a naturalist. I don't know if that's such a word, but it just doesn't seem right that something that's as natural as all of the billions of people over the millions of years that have been born on this planet, and all of a sudden you have to go to the hospital. You have to have a doctor, and we're like, the hospital is the dirtiest place on the planet.
Oh my gosh,
right. People that are in medicine, but they're dirty, and the bacterial load that you can swab on just, a bedpost or a hospital door. Those used to be made in brass. And brass is naturally antibacterial. And so is copper. So in order for things to appear more sterile, they changed everything to stainless steel. I went to, my first 2 were at what was Humana Hospital at the time. It was a women's hospital. And at least it had carpet, and it felt a little bit more comfortable. And it was women only, and it wasn't for sick people, because I wasn't going to have my children in a place for sick people.
Oh, that's smart.
So that worked out really well, except I just didn't like to have that. And part of the practice of having a baby is that they don't take the time, because the doctors don't want to be there waiting. They pull your placenta out, and they don't allow the baby to get all of the blood from the placenta into their bodies. So babies are lethargic. They cut the cord while the blood is still in the cord. And you have to wait until the blood from the placenta has completely passed through the cord to the baby, so they don't get fatigued and they don't drop too much weight or have any problems. Most women, they just say, oh, the doctor knows everything what to do, so I'll just do what the doctor says. And if they recommend something like a C-section or the epidurals or whatever, surprise, surprise, you have complications that take away from the enjoyment and the process and the sterilization and the natural protection that you get when you have vaginal births. Part of the experience of having the baby the way that you're supposed to have the baby is enriching to the child and the mother. Really bonds them together through that. And the very fact that doctors persecuted midwives and make a natural process be a medical process and have to be licensed when the death rate with doctors for women that are in birth is unbelievable.
Especially in Indiana.
Midwives can't let a baby die or a mom die. They can't let that happen.
So how'd you find your midwife for the third one?
Through the church that I was going to. Someone else had their baby through the hospital. Through a midwife said, "Oh my gosh, this is the answer I needed." So I learned about what midwifery is, and I met her. Oh my God, this woman, she was amazing. She used to be a stripper.
I love it. In like the 80s or 90s? Damn, she must have made a lot of money back then.
70s. But she was quite the student, and she was on talk shows. My last son was her last birth, and that was almost 3,000 births.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How long did she do it for?
That won't be 25, 30 years.
It's amazing.
I don't think it's
So then what was your experience with the midwife the first time? How was that different?
fantastic. And the midwife stays with you the entire time. And you sterilize everything in your own home. The baby is conceived at home. The baby is brought into our world at home, sterile. And our homes are much more sterile than hospitals. Even if there are germs, they're not foreign germs. We've become immune to those germs. And we're introducing the baby into this world with clean, sterilized sheets, sterilized tools. Everything's sterilized.
So you had your next 7 kids, all with midwives at home.
Yep.
That's so cool.
I would have never been able to have had that many, because in a hospital, when they pull the placenta out, they rip the placenta away from the uterus wall, which causes you to hemorrhage. So, you hemorrhage. Plus, both of those first births, I had to be stitched. I never had to be stitched with the midwife. But, midwives aren't allowed to do surgeries, but they know the technique of how to allow the baby to be birthed without damaging the mother in any way. And if there is anything that needs to be stitched, the mother can go there later, after she's rested in her own bed, in her own home, and she's being attended
what she
by her
wants.
family.
Yeah.
And her family is there to enjoy the process. It's a spiritual thing. And then another thing that really bothered me, and it's all coming back to me now, is take the baby away from you. Like, how dare you take my baby away from me?
Aren't you supposed to do
Why are you
skin
gonna-
to skin for what? Like,
Yes.
now they charge people for skin to skin. Like, they charge
They
you.
do not.
Yeah, they charge you to hold your baby.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's on people's bills.
Shut
Skin
up.
to skin. Isn't that insane? And they went back and forth for a while. Like, shouldn't we?
Oh my God.
I'm like, is that seriously?
They just take the baby away, and then I find out. So the protocol is they poke and prod your baby. They test them. They prick their foot. So let me tell you, they don't need to prick the foot to get the blood out in a home birth, because they allow the blood to come through the umbilical cord in a home birth, and then there's always a little excess. So when you cut the cord, and dad or maybe brother or sister can cut the cord, and that's really cool, right? To be part of that. Then they're able to take some of that blood from the cord and then put that into the testing vials so that the blood can be tested. So they prick the baby's foot, and then they put pressure on you. Do you want to circumcise the baby? And as I was dumb. I didn't even know anything about that stuff. That was one of the things I didn't know that was going to be asked. I had no answer. And so they just told me what the status is or what the statistics are. So I relented. But after that, I was pissed when I found out. Because I had to keep, and my first son, through that process, I had to keep clean. He had some complications with that. And I was freaking out. And me being a purist and naturalist, always wanting to do things the ancient ways,
Me too.
there's no reason why we can't have modern applications for ancient ways. A
What?
true midwife will not charge you. She will allow you to gift her whatever. I was just going to do it myself and take care of it. I was just going to let everything take its nature's course. And she was like, no, I'll come up there. So she came up to me and for every single session, and She never asked for any money. You are able to give. It's just my job by God to come and bring people into the world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful lady.
Yep.
You gotta get older.
It's Debbie Slater.
Debbie Slater. Yeah, I should do a Flux with friends. What are you guys doing before the birth?
Well, she was checking my cervix, making sure everything was fine, and she would check my blood pressure. She had me tested.
Did you have one that was easier than the other? Did you have any that are harder than the
Well,
other?
that's a good question. My first one was just the first. It took a little while. I was so annoyed. And then the second one, I was working all day and I just kept thinking I had stomach ache all day. I couldn't really drive myself home because I was having stomach ache. And the girl with the work training was driving me home. It was a good long drive. And she said, you're in labor, you're in labor. I said, I just have a stomach ache. I get home and I go like, yeah, this is probably labor. I get to the hospital and I get checked in. I go like, you know what? These are really close together and they had to put me in like a closet. The doctor had just arrived and then Cassia was born. So it was pretty fast. But after that, I had the other ones in my bedroom. It was so nice. Leon was the one that I fell down at 8 months and I slipped and fell on my bottom and then I felt him flip. And after 8 months, the head was already down and I didn't know how I was going to get out of that situation. I could feel his head. And then he started pushing and his feet were pushing down. And I go like, oops, I got a problem. So my midwife, she told me he was too big to turn, so I would have to turn him myself. And I had to do slant boards for a long period of time. And then I would have to roll off. And that went on for about a week and nothing happened. So I made a deal with God. And I go, okay, this is getting scary. I do not want to have this baby born breech. So, because that's awful.
What happened? What's that?
To be born breech?
Yeah.
The baby's feet come first.
So what do they have to?
And it's a very difficult verse, not only for the mother, but for the baby. But because he was already 8 months, she couldn't massage and turn him. So I made a deal with God and I said, listen, I will find a way, but every penny I have is $2,000. I will give it to Debbie. I've never been able to give her any money. This was baby number 5. And I said, and you move the baby and I'll pay her. It's a faith promise, faith pledge. I didn't even have that much money. To me, that might as well have been $40,000, $50,000. We didn't have that money. I slanted again the next day. And I got off. And he went.
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay.
So
Thank you very much.
the slant board?
It was a slant board. But it wasn't working for a whole week.
Mm.
And after I made that deal, he turned. And I could feel it, and it made us a watery sound.
So you always gotta tip your fairy godmothers.
So, yes. So so then I said, okay, come. I mean, I was already expecting it, and I was figuring out where am I going to get the money from? What can I sell? What can I do to get the money? And because she never asked for anything. She did so much, and I wanted to bless her anyways, and it's like, here's a reason. But the most difficult birth was my 8th. He just didn't want to come. He was just giving me a hard time. So
He's like, it's warm in here.
I never had 36 hours labor before.
What were your labors usually? Like, what was the quickest or the
6 hours.
6 hours?
Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
But then, since Hunter was my last baby with Debbie, then I got pregnant again. I said, I can't believe this. Now I need a new midwife because Debbie wasn't available anymore. So I found another one, and I went to her 3 times. She never did an exam. I said, why should I? You don't need one. I said, I don't need one? I always had one. She said, no, you're fine. I said, okay. I already did enough studying on my own, and I had enough that I knew everything that was going on. So we went to the same procedure, but I had Pheonix in a baby pool
Oh, so cool.
in our living room. We moved all the furniture, filled it up. It had to, at a certain temperature. And instead of all my other babies, I was on a bed, inclined, like stacked with some pillows, but mostly, the position where you see in the movies and things like that, where they have the legs are.
In the stirrups. So
Yeah, oh, that was the other hospital thing. I hated stirrups.
like the African women, they like squat and then just like
Disgusting.
lay the baby.
It's so.
Did you ever try that?
So, this is what I did. So, Carol told me, a new midwife, she said, here's the natural positions. Let's go through them. So, these are the things I learned before, when I was just in my early stages of pregnancy. And she said, get on your knees, and here's what happens. When you are in a squatting position, your whole entire body opens. Your body's already opening in preparation. Your muscles are shifting for the birth. But instead of laying on a bed and pushing, which is extremely a lot of work, you allow gravity to do its job and you squat. The body, the position of the squat or the kneeling automatically opens those walls that are inside, and the bones open and spread. Baby just pops right out. And I couldn't believe it. This was the best thing that ever happened to me. So in this water, she said, so where do you usually have your pain when you give birth? I said, always lower back, tailbone. And she goes, okay. So she said, when you feel the contractions coming, I want you to let me know. And then I will put pressure on that area to relieve the pain. I am not going to allow you to feel any pain until the last 3. That way you can be completely relaxed. And when you're completely relaxed, baby will come in very quickly. I said, this is amazing. So she put pressure on my tailbone with her hand while I was in the water, sitting in this perfectly monitored temperature water, which Dad kept bringing back some more water, and we kept it the right temperature at all times. But when the contractions started coming, I was kneeling, and she put the pressure on my back, and then she was timing them, and then she said, okay, I'm going to let you feel these 3, and then I want you to push. I'll let you know when. I felt the 3 contractions. She said, okay, now go ahead and push. Of course, I did a squat. I got off my knees, put my feet underneath me, and I squeezed, and I stood straight up. I didn't even push twice. I just pushed once. She kept flying out, and she had to reach out quickly to grab her and not let her get in the water because she could gasp and get air into her lungs. The whole idea is that you let them be birthed in the water.
In the water.
Their natural reaction is not to gasp because they're still in fluid. So she said, oh my God. So she had to grab Pheonix. It's like, Pheonix comes flying.
Pheonix still flies today.
Pheonix is still up there in the air. I said to myself, oh, I can't believe this. I could have had all of my children this way. I could have had 10 more children if I can have them like this. I will promote it to my dying breath. Always have babies in water.
It just seems like it makes sense.
And there shouldn't be any complications. People shouldn't be dying.
That is fascinating. 9 kids.
9. And they're all independent. And I homeschooled them with the same thing. Like, whatever you're interested in, that's what you're going to study.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Your reading, your writing, your math, and everything is around what you're interested in.
That's just like obvious.
Just
like,
learn the basic stuff. And what your hands touch, you learn better. So there was always hands-on. And all of them have to wear their own little businesses.
That's so cute.
And they're all very successful. My first ones, they were all full homeschool until 8th grade.
Okay.
But the last 2 went to...
like a Montessori?
Yeah, it was a Montessori. How'd you think of it?
I think I'm just fascinated with the way they teach
Montessori,
people.
but I don't think it was any good. They didn't. That particular Montessori was no good. I just couldn't homeschool them, and I was running the businesses and everything, so I couldn't do it. My mother wasn't available to help with that either, just a little bit, and then eventually we put them into regular public school, and they're the ones that really, really, really struggle with reading and writing, and they just got a raw deal.
You want to do private school? No.
Homeschooling is that, well, here's what it is. You teach, you get to learn twice. I taught Cruz became a teacher. Then Cruz taught Cassia taught Dakota taught Isa taught Leon taught Roman taught Falcon, etc. So each one is accomplishing certain skills and then passes that down. And as they are successful, then they are able to pass that down to the next one. But my job was managing and supervising to make sure that they were getting everything that they needed and testing them to make sure that they were in not goofing off, and they were actually. But if you keep it in the fields of interest that they really enjoy, then that's fine. And in my opinion, if you learn very, very well, you learn your basics, all the basic math skills, and check balancing, bookkeeping. Then you also learn all your phonics, handwriting, punctuation, word forms, and you don't have to know which one is the participle, which one is the past participle. You just need to understand and know the correct methods. That was really easy because I was an English major in high school. I loved it. And always find things that are interesting and go and learn about them. They were always involved in extra things like some kind of a sport. They all had to dance, and then they also had sports and some kind of an art.
Right. So Anissa's the one that with the kid.
Anissa's with one.
Okay.
And then my daughter Dakota adopted one. And then
she adopted one?
Yes, and he's 19, almost 20 now. And then my oldest son has getting on to 2 years, very close. And then Roman has one that's going to be 3.
So how many grandbabies?
I have 1 adopted and 3 blood. Oh, can you believe it? So here, want to hear a funny story? Mm-hmm. I love telling this story. The kids were with me as usual, and we were at the shop, and I was sewing, and they were just laughing, of course. It's always like a party. I'm thinking, okay, you guys, can you keep it down? I'm trying to work over here. So they come to my side, and they gather around me, and they go like, oh my gosh, Mom, we just thought of something. And they are laughing hysterically. They said, we just figured out that if each of us had 9 children, you would have 81 grandchildren. I thought it was so funny. And actually, I wanted to crack up, so instead, I just gave him this really serious straight face, like, that's rude.
Why is that rude?
Because 81 grandchildren is like a lot of people.
That is a lot of humans.
I said, that's a dream I hope I never have to reach.
Do you think all of your kiddos will have kiddos?
I wish they would. They're changing the world the way their destiny was determined for them, or they're creating their own destinies. I don't know how it works. All I know is it's not for me to decide or control.
That's awesome.
And they get to pick. And whatever they do, I am so happy for them.
I love that. So you made the pregnancy corset? Like, I feel like, what is that?
I don't know, it's a tummy tucker.
A tummy tucker?
It was basically, people kept telling me, oh my God, you should patent that. And I go like, I get about that.
People need that.
So what ended up happening is that because I cradled that, the babies would move my organs toward the back.
Interesting.
So I didn't protrude out front very much. It would fill in my back. So like that natural concave that you have, curvature in your back, I lost it all and it was basically straight.
Really?
Yes. So, but this device that I had cradled my back and supported my back at the same time supporting the skin and keeping it all together. And I didn't use any cream or anything.
That's amazing.
But I sure did get a lot of offers for surrogate tissue. I was so happy pregnant. Oh, it's my best.
Really?
Yeah. I dreaded, though, giving birth, not for the birth's sake, but just what was coming after it was buckle. Because you'd be exhausted constantly.
No sleep. No sleep.
Constantly.
It turned you into a morning person real quick.
I was always a really early morning person. It's just all the time.
And did you breastfeed?
Yep. 10 months minimum each.
10 months minimum?
Most of them are a year and a half.
A year and a half. And now, like, a year and a half, like, because that's supposed to help build their brain. Like, the breastfeeding has, like, a bunch of benefits, right? To do it longer.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And I also always, because I learned reflexology from my grandmother when I was 10. And she learned reflexology from a Chinese
Oh, nice.
person. And she did it for her own benefit. She passed that to me. I said, "What is that? That's amazing." She was running my feet. She said, "This is reflexology." And so I kept that with me. And I couldn't find any publications or books on it or anything anywhere. But I just went with my intuition. And from that little bit that I knew, I would spend time walking on the gravel driveway that we had outside of our house. This is sharp gravel, so I used socks. But I'd go out there and I would just walk on it, and the vitality I felt, it would make me feel so energized when I did it in the morning, and it would relax me so much at night. The people, the natives that were here, they wore moccasins. They had great health, and they had to sustain and live through all these extreme weather conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, no, when you're wearing soft leather soles, you're walking over rocks, you're walking over sticks, you're walking through water, you're walking over all kinds of types of uneven land. There's got to be some connection where my grandmother learns this Chinese method of reflexology, and they say that the people that came here had hard, flat-soled shoes, and they could not defend themselves against the illnesses that they received.
Hi, we're doing body sculpting and talking about having babies, making babies, getting snatched after babies.
So I put it all together in my mind, and I got a bucket, a Rubbermaid dishpan, and I filled it with decorator stones so that during the winter I didn't have to go out walk on the rocks. So I've been doing that ever since.
Oh,
and I've
nice.
been doing it for 40 years. I used the mats now, but I still have my box of rocks.
Okay, one more question.
Yes.
So you have the pregnancy one, you know, somebody's got to pay you a lot of money to come get those customized, right?
Oh yeah, I'd make it just for them. You know,
Like
what size they
customized?
were. I know how to do it.
And then you have now the Sonata. So the Sonata is like a waist trainer, back brace,
All in one. It's
all
really
in
wonderful.
one. Yeah,
It's good for if you want to lose weight and you want to go to the gym. I mean, you could also use this if you're working sitting or standing, especially standing for long periods of time.
it helps my back so much when I'm
It
working.
helps your back so much, and at the same time, it helps you to remember to engage your core. Though these telephones have really caused some traumatic composition problems with the way we hold our bodies. This is something that you would identify with someone that is well past 75 years old. But these are young adolescents that now have this, and their bones will be fused in this way. But the whole idea is that you're supporting the weight and putting it into the proper posture, and it holds your back, and you don't have to have that cumbersome, that
It really got rid of a lot of my neck pain, like when I
Shoulder
wear
pain.
it, and I'm hunched over all day. And that's something you don't think of with like a waist trainer,
Yeah.
you know?
And it
That it's
became
like, this
very
is going to help my neck.
It
Wow.
became very popular with the nail techs.
Oh,
because
yeah.
The nail techs sit
Any tech.
hunched over all day long.
Anybody who's a tech,
Yeah. So, what would you rather have? I mean, would you rather have a tight, flat tummy with back muscles, or would you rather have a flaccid stomach?
ew, nobody.
Flaccid, soft.
Does anything sound good flaccid?
No,
Nobody wants anything flaccid.
actually, that's very fun. If you can engage your core, you have to actually have a mental discipline and mental muscle developed so that you can do that. Now, I already had that in my life because I practiced good posture, and my mother went to finishing school and she taught me how to stand properly. So I was always engaging those muscles, and it mattered to me that I had good posture. I've had to learn to market this to show that this is actually great for your body, your posture.
It's really hard with a lot of anything body sculpting, whether it's the body sculpting garments, whether it's actual body sculpting, like pretty much every flat platform like hates us. You know what I mean? Like you can't talk about looking a certain way, being healthier, you know. We probably advertise cigarettes
It'll-
easier than you could
it's
advertise
right.
body
It'll-
sculpting. You
it'll-
could be so tricky with it.
It will pass because it's only a phase.
Yeah,
Everything
I'm ready
works
for this
in
phase to be
circles.
over. Let's promote like being healthy again. Like what happened to being healthy after that? When did that become a bad thing? Like it's so weird to me. How do you feel? You feeling snatched? Do you want to say goodbye to our
I
people?
was kind of out of breath.
Yeah, he's
A little bit.
bit.
It was just like,
She's
she's really working me right now. Oh, and I'll try. Oh, I have a full spot. Oh, well. I am getting completely exercised here on my abs and booty. Oh my gosh.
And we gotta like to build the
That is going to look so wonderful. Thank you so much, Ella, for everything. And I can't even smile because I'm going to crack my face.
Bye.
Bye.